Hi, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. Pepe Escobar is here and will be with us in just a moment on the serious business of death. But first, this. While the markets are giving us whiplash, have you seen the price of gold? It's soaring. In the past 12 months, gold has risen to more than $3,000 an ounce. I'm so glad I bought my gold. It's not too late for you to buy yours. The same experts that predicted gold at $3,200 an ounce now predict gold at $4,500 or more in the next year. What's driving the price higher? Paper currencies. All around the world, they are falling in value. Big money is in panic as falling currencies shrink the value of their paper wealth. That's why big banks and billionaires are buying gold in record amounts. As long as paper money keeps falling, they'll keep buying, and gold will keep rising. So do what I did. Call my friends at Lear Capital. You'll have a great conversation, and they'll send you very helpful information. Learn how you can store gold in your IRA tax and penalty free or have it sent directly to your doorstep. There's zero pressure to buy and you have a 100% risk-free purchase guarantee. It's time to see if gold is right for you. Call 800-511-4620, 800-511-4620, or go to LearJudgeNap.com and tell them your friend the judge sent you. Pepe Escobar, welcome here, my dear friend. I know you are traveling. You're in St. Petersburg, Russia. We appreciate it's late in the day, very late in the day. We appreciate very much your time with us. Do you think the United States of America, do you think Donald Trump understands this business of death and how close his threats may bring death to millions in the Middle East?
Obviously not, Judge, unfortunately. Well, instead of the business of death, I spent the day at the St. Petersburg Economic Forum talking and interacting with the business of life, trade, commerce, interaction. There was even a panel on religion and economy with Buddhists, Sufis, Jews, Orthodox Christians discussing interactions between religious spheres, economy, and the role of states in dealing with religious organizations. It's the absolute opposite of what we are hearing from Washington. Unfortunately, everyone here is appalled. There are, I would say, 10,000 businessmen at this forum now. It's absolutely packed. And the global south is here. It's not only Russia. The president of Indonesia arrived late afternoon. Southeast Asia is here. Parts of Africa are here. Central Asia is here. Cuba is here. So, and of course, I'm sure you know, Judge, President Vladimir Putin delivers the plenary session on Friday, and after that, there's going to be a Q&A. Everybody is waiting for him.
Wow, I hope you got to question him, and in a minute, I'll ask you, if you do, what you will ask him. Do world leaders and diplomats understand that Trump and Netanyahu connived to pull a trick on the whole world, pretending that the United States was negotiating with Iran, all the while helping Israel to plan and plot its surprise attack, including the assassination of the chief Iranian negotiator? Do world leaders and diplomats understand what happened?
They do. And here, Judge, is a microcosm because there are lots of high-ranking diplomats, former presidents, the creme de la creme of Russian business interests, Central Asian interests. The SCO is here. BRICS are here. The Chinese New Silk Roads represented here. The Arctic Silk Road, which is how the Chinese define what the Russians call Northern Sea Route, which is basically a connectivity corridor in the Arctic. Everybody is here. And the connectivity corridors, which are what is interacting Eurasia and what is linking Eurasia on a daily basis, everybody is here discussing that. And something I would say it's extremely, extremely important. Only a few weeks ago, the first direct train from China arrived in Tehran. It came from Xi'an, the former capital of the Silk Road in China. From Xi'an to Tehran, going through Central Asia. And this means that this bypasses everything that is controlled by the US across Eurasia, Strait of Malacca, etc. So it's not an accident that we have a war only a few days later, because one of the key objectives of this war is to not allow Iran to be transformed and enhanced as a logistics hub in the middle of Eurasia.
Right.
Nobody in the US has this analysis. Nobody.
Did Trump trap Netanyahu into a plot to dismantle BRICS, or did Netanyahu trap Trump into a plot to allow Israel to expand its borders by neutering Iran?
Judge, is the same interest.
That's a Pepe Escobar question. I wouldn't put that to anybody else.
Yes, only you can pull that off, Judge. Well, if it's a wag the dog, I would say this is a double wag the dog. The fact is, this war has been planned since at least 1998, when the neocons were out of power, when they were basically peddling the clean break report, when Bibi was colluding with the neocons out of power, and then when they got to power, colluding directly. The supreme wet dream of the neocons and the Ziocons and the whole Zionist axis is Iran. Of course, after 9/11, it's one of the most quoted things in the history of the universe. General Wesley Clark learning at the Pentagon that is going to be 7 countries in 5 years. And guess what will be the cherry on the cake? Iran. And now they think that they have an opening. When I say they, it's the Zionist axis. And that includes everybody. Includes Bibi, includes everybody in power in Tel Aviv, and includes Donald Trump as well. So there's no surprise. They have extra incentives to launch this war now, because of what we were discussing less than 5 minutes ago. They have to prevent Eurasia integration, connectivity corridors, logistics, the international north-south transportation corridor, which I had the pleasure to travel last month. I went from the Caspian to the Persian Gulf, tracking the corridor inside Iran. It's one of the most important geoeconomic projects of the 21st century, as important as the Arctic Silk Road. One of the guys today at the panel in St. Petersburg, he said, for Russia to build the Arctic, the northern route in the Arctic, this is equivalent to the conquest of space in the 50s and 60s. It's that serious for Russia. So from the point of view of the US, they have to prevent this integration. And Iran is right at the geography is destiny, really. You look at the map, Iran is at the center of everything. And the Chinese, now they are already counting on, okay, now we can deliver anything we want overland across Eurasia from China to Iran, and even receive everything we want vice versa.
Yesterday, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Rybakov warned the United States against attacking Iran. I would assume that is the official position of the Russian government if it came from Mr. Rybakov.
It is, Judge. And Ryabkov is going to be in one of the panels tomorrow. So I'll have the chance to meet him again. And I can even, if I have some time, 1 or 2 key questions. And Maria Zakharova, of course, spokeswoman for the Ministry of Foreign Relations, which she's a superstar all over the global south. This is what she said today as well. And I'll be on a panel with Maria Zakharova on Friday morning as well. So we can have
Please give
Yes,
her my regards. When Larry
of
Johnson and
course.
I interviewed her boss in his residence, she could not have been nicer to us. The mainstream media joined the Israeli euphoria on Friday over the surprise attack.
Mhm.
Trump denied it, then admitted it. He obviously didn't tell Rubio he was about to admit it. Secretary Rubio, the de facto Secretary of State, excuse me, the de jure Secretary of State said we didn't know anything about it. Blah 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 blah. How long did that euphoria last?
Um, 48 hours, to be more or less exact, because it took 10 hours for the Iranians. By the way, this is a very sensitive information in Russia, with help from Russian technicians to get their grid back together. And then they changed completely their approach from strategic patience to, okay, let's start advancing. No concessions anymore. And we're not going to take it anymore lying down. It took them 48 hours to do that. And after their first response, the Americans and Israelis started to see that things had changed. And it's now a lethal mix of calculated attacks, psychological war, is psyops all the time. We're going to launch maybe 200 missiles, and then they launch 5. And then the Israelis, okay, what are they going to do next? They're going to launch 50? No, they launch 20. And then when nobody's expecting, they launch 50. So the other side is completely discombobulated, as our Tibetan friends like to say it. And on top of that, everybody knows that Israel has interceptors, maybe for the next 2 weeks, perhaps even less. And very, very important, they don't have a functional port at the moment. And their airport is basically nothing is taking off from Ben Gurion Airport. So this is what the Iranians are doing. You know, they're going for the nodes, and the nodes that really hurt. Not to mention what they destroyed. They destroyed Rafael, the biggest weapons maker and organizer and conceptualizer in Israel. The Weizmann Institute, which was a sort of MIT in Israel. So it's getting pretty dire, the situation. And that counts. This adds to the calculation by Donald Trump, of course, because in a matter of 2 weeks, Israel may be completely exhausted.
President Trump just had a Q&A in the Oval Office, during the course of which he said he's going to the war room in a little while. This is about a minute long. Here it is.
Contributed to that change, how you got to where you are in making your decision now?
Well, I think it started the first night. I mean, that first night was devastating. And it really knocked the one side off, as you know. It was a devastating evening, day. And it's pretty much proceeded that way. I have a meeting in the war room in a little while. Situation room, as some people call it. So we're going to meet, we're going to see. We're in the midst of it's a terrible thing. I hate to see it. I hate to see all that death, so much death and destruction. But death primarily is what I hate to see.
Does that mean you haven't made a decision yet on what to do?
I have ideas as to what to do, but I haven't made a final. I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, you know, because things change. I mean, especially with war, things change with war. It can go from one extreme to the other. War is very bad. There was no reason for this to be a war. There was no reason for Russia, Ukraine. A lot of wars there was no reason for, you know. You look right up there, I don't know, see the Declaration of Independence, and I say, I wonder if the Civil War, it always seemed to me maybe that could have been solved without losing 600,000 plus people.
I don't know what the Declaration of Independence has to do with the Civil War.
Exactly. And there's no reason for Russia and Ukraine, of course. It just came out of the sky.
I don't think he understands what happened in the 90s. I don't think he understands what happened in 04. I don't think he understands what happened in 14. I don't think he remembers the 20 CIA facilities that were built in Ukraine during his administration. I don't think he remembers the hundreds of billions of military equipment he sent to Ukraine during his first term there. There's no sense trying to get into his head. It's frustrating. There either isn't much there, or he's a fantastic actor. It's one or the other.
And no, in Russia, it's tricky because some sectors, the corridors of power in Moscow, they believe that this pre-negotiation with the US is going somewhere. But more and more among the intel agencies, especially, saying, oh, of course not. And there's I would say fierce dialogue on, look, what he did to Iran, he's going to do to us, Russia. And this is now discussed openly in Moscow and here as well. I heard some echoes today here in St. Petersburg from think tanks mostly.
How does the Kremlin view Trump the man? Is he trustworthy? Do they believe anything he says? Are these phone calls between him and President Putin just a charade, or are they meaningful conversations from the Kremlin's perspective?
Judge, we don't know what Putin personally thinks of Trump, or if he actually believes that these phone calls, some of them, they actually didn't take place, by the way. The last one, the Kremlin said was figuratively, which was a very elegant way to say, no, it happened only in Trump's mind. But
that would be the phone call on Trump's birthday, which was last Saturday. The Kremlin says that never took place.
Exactly. Coming from Peskov. We can ask Peskov the same question on Friday again, but this is what he said. And it's on Russian media. It's not on American media.
What will you ask President Putin if he opens up the dialogue to Q&A and he points to you? And I'm sure he knows you. I'm sure he will point to you. But what will you ask him?
It's a lottery, Judge. It's very hard. And Peskov selects the people who... And Peskov
if Maria has any words, she'll select you. We both know that. But if you are selected...
Well, if it was Maria, yeah, it's different. She knows you, and she knows exactly.
If you are... I'm going to text her, not that that's going to change her mind or the procedures, but if you are selected, if you could ask Vladimir Putin anything you wanted in front of these 10,000 people, what would you ask him?
Are you aware that the double game employed by Trump vis-a-vis Iran is being replicated against Russia from the beginning? It would be, of course, much more polite than that. This is the blunt version, because this is the question that I posed to some of my friends today. In fact, in some of the panels in the sidelines when we were talking about Iran, and some of them said, "Look, you have no idea. Everybody's asking this question now in FSB, SVR, at the Security Council as well, and so there are no illusions anymore." It's like putting for some, we could even qualify as esoteric reason, would like to believe that it's possible to have a dialogue on substance with Trump. We know it's impossible. And on top of it, when you have a key ally of both Russia and China delivered an ultimatum by the President of the United States, it's my deal or I'm going to bomb you. They know that this could happen in the future with both of them as well.
Wow.
And Ayatollah Khamenei answer, Judge, just a second. Ayatollah Khamenei's answer was, wow, Khamenei is a very, very subtle operator. He talks by metaphors usually. He said, we will not surrender, period. And this 90 million Iranians, which, by the way, Ted Cruz have no idea there are 90 million people living in Iran, support.
Wait till you see the rest of the interview with my friend and former colleague, Tucker Carlson. The Cruz is demolished and he's being slaughtered in social media. Two things. One is we frequently conduct polls amongst those who are watching. And the poll we're asking about during this program is the following. Will Russia get involved in behalf of Iran if Trump continues U.S. involvement? But I want to switch gears before we leave because we haven't talked about this all week. What is the status of things in Ukraine? The war is still going on. Is Ukraine finally on its last legs? How is the war in Ukraine viewed by all your buddies in St. Petersburg?
Well, I'm glad that you asked this question, Judge, because one of my commander friends in Donbass, he was at the forum today. And tomorrow morning, we're going to have a bombshell, by the way. Okay, I can announce the bombshell for you firsthand. The DPR, Donbass, Donetsk People's Republic, is going to sign 10 deals with China tomorrow morning here in St. Petersburg. The Chinese they will start to invest directly in Donbass. This is enormous, enormous. So, and of course, these commanders and some ex-commanders who are now part of the Donbass administration, especially Donetsk administration, they said, look, it is progressing according to what we thought by the end of winter. We are now in Dnipropetrovsk, like we thought we were going to be in summer, and it's progressing very, very fast. And the front is collapsing steadily.
What is collapsing steadily?
Yes.
I didn't hear the word you used.
I'm sorry. The front lines, Judge. The front lines. Over 1,000 kilometer long front lines, in fact. This does not mean that we're going to have the Russian armed forces taking over Dnipropetrovsk in a matter of weeks. No. The war of attrition, Russian style, is impeccable. It's exactly what they want. And now even more because they know that the war will be decided in the battlefield, and all this kabuki of a ceasefire negotiations with the Americans, etc., is just a show. And Iran proved to them that it's just a show.
Well, we have an answer on the poll from there's about 8,000 people watching you now, and a good chunk of them answered. Will Russia get involved on behalf of Iran if Trump continues U.S. involvement? Yes, 64%. No, 18%. Undecided, 17%. That's a significant feeling amongst the pro-peace, anti-war folks.
Exactly.
That are your fans and that watch this show. What do you think? Will Russia get involved? Will they do anything more than provide air defense? Will they provide offensive weaponry? Will Russia attack Netanyahu in return for Mossad participating in the attack on the 4 Russian air bases?
This is an immensely complex and very sensitive discussion to have in Moscow and in St. Petersburg. I'm going to try to force it a little bit more tomorrow and Friday. But my interlocutors say, look, you cannot ask these questions. You won't get a public answer to your questions. First of all.
Understood.
But very important, Judge, and for our audience is very, very important. There was active Russian help in electronic warfare to put the Iranian grid back together in those first 10 hours. But I cannot write that. I have to be very, very careful. So I can tell you, I can go live.
That is, as Tucker Carlson said to Senator Cruz when he said, we bombed Iran. That is breaking news. You're making news. There was active Russian help on the ground putting together the grids that were attacked by the Israelis in the first day of the attack.
But the Russians prefer not to advertise it. Very discreet. Just like the Chinese, there are Pakistani trucks with Chinese hardware help crossing Baluchistan from Pakistani Baluchistan.
Will the Pakistanis help defend Iran by attacking Israel?
They already offered help. But very important element, Judge. The Persians are extremely proud. Basically, they are saying, we can do this by ourselves. If we need you, we will call you. This is what they told essentially Beijing and Moscow. And we had confirmation from the Iranian side and from the Russian side, silence, basically saying, yes, that's it.
I'm going to guess you don't want to answer this. Are we close to World War III?
No. This is, it's crazy. This is like the worst possible modern version of a Greek tragedy. No. But the problem, once again, we have a total irrational system on one side and very rational actors on the other side. The other side is here, Eurasia. And we have three top rational actors, the Iranians, the Russians, and the Chinese. I had a wonderful conversation with a Chinese from a top think tank in Beijing after one of the sessions today in St. Petersburg. And I asked him directly, does China understand that they may be next in line in the near future? He says, of course. In Beijing, everybody's, especially because Iran is an ally, and we made a deal with them for 20 years, worth $400 billion, energy for infrastructure. And if they are attacked, our deal collapses. And for us, it's a matter of national security if this thing collapses. So this is immensely serious. But obviously, we cannot expect Beijing and Moscow to say, no, we are going to defend Iran against everything. No, it doesn't work like this. It's Chinese style, made in the shade.
Got it. Got it. It's late at night where you are. We've kept you up. You rushed to be there. We are deeply, deeply and profoundly grateful, my dear friend.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. We hope you can come to us again from St. Petersburg, depending upon your availability and events as warranted. But the least we'll do is look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, Pepe.
Judge, if Putin says something absolutely scandal on Friday,
you call Chris.
Okay, I'll call you guys, definitely.
And we'll get you on. Thank you, Pepe. All the best.
Thank you. All the best. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Great man. And the character. Coming tomorrow, Thursday at 8 in the morning, Colonel Tony Schaefer. What's been going on in Ukraine? Well, all eyes have been on Israel and Iran. At 11 in the morning, Colonel Douglas McGregor. At 1 in the afternoon, Professor Glenn Beeson. At 2 in the afternoon, Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson. Judge Napolitano for Judging Freedom.